God said to Moses, "Now go, get on your way from here, you and the people you brought up from the land of Egypt. Head for the land which I promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, saying, I will give it to your descendants. I will send an angel ahead of you, and I'll drive out the Canaanites, Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. It's a land flowing with milk and honey. But I won't be with you in person. You're such a stubborn, hard-headed people, lest I destroy you on the journey." When the people heard this harsh verdict, they were plunged into gloom and wore long faces. No one put on jewelry. God said to Moses, "Tell the Israelites, you're one hard-headed people. I couldn't stand being with you for even a moment. I'd destroy you. So take off all your jewelry until I figure out what to do with you." So the Israelites stripped themselves of their jewelry from Mount Horeb on. Moses used to take the tent and set it up outside the camp, some distance away. He called it the tent of meeting. Anyone who sought God would go to the tent of meeting outside the camp. It went like this. When Moses would go to the tent, all the people would stand at attention. Each man would take his position at the entrance to his tent, with his eyes on Moses until he entered the tent. Whenever Moses entered the tent, the pillar of cloud descended to the entrance to the tent, and God spoke with Moses. All the people would see the pillar of cloud at the entrance to the tent, stand at attention, and then bow down and worship, each man at the entrance to his tent. And God spoke with Moses face to face, as neighbors speak to one another. When he would return to the camp, his attendant, the young man Joshua, stayed. He didn't leave the tent. Moses said to God, "Look, you tell me, lead this people, but you don't let me know whom you are going to send with me. You tell me, I know you well and you are special to me. If I am so special to you, let me in on your plans. That way, I will continue being special to you. Don't forget, this is your people, your responsibility." God said, "My presence will go with you. I'll see the journey to the end." Moses said, "If your presence doesn't take the lead here, call this trip off right now. How else will it be known that you're with me in this, with me and your people? Are you traveling with us or not? How else will we know that we're special, I and your people, among all other people on this planet Earth?" God said to Moses, "All right, just as you say, this also I will do. For I know you well, and you are special to me. I know you by name." Moses said, "Please, let me see your glory." God said, "I will make my goodness pass right in front of you. I'll call out the name, God, right before you. I'll treat well whomever I want to treat well, and I'll be kind to whomever I want to be kind." God continued, "You may not see my face. No one can see me and live." God said, "Look, here is a place right beside me. Put yourself on this rock. When my glory passes by, I'll put you in the cleft of the rock and cover you with my hand until I've passed by. Then I'll take my hand away and you'll see my back, but you won't see my face." Chapter 34. God spoke to Moses. "Cut out 2 tablets of stone just like the originals, and engrave on them the words that were on the original tablets you smashed. Be ready in the morning to climb Mount Sinai, and get set to meet me on top of the mountain. Not a soul is to go with you. The whole mountain must be clear of people, even animals. Not even sheep or oxen can be grazing in front of the mountain." So Moses cut 2 tablets of stone just like the originals. He got up early in the morning and climbed Mount Sinai as God had commanded him, carrying the 2 tablets of stone. God descended in the cloud and took up his position there beside him and called out the name, God. God passed in front of him and called out, God, God, a God of mercy and grace, endlessly patient, so much love, so deeply true, loyal in love for 1,000 generations, forgiving iniquity, rebellion, and sin. Still, he doesn't ignore sin. He holds sons and grandsons responsible for a father's sins to the 3rd and even 4th generation. At once, Moses fell to the ground and worshipped, saying, "Please, oh Master, if you see anything good in me, please, Master, travel with us. Hard-headed as these people are, forgive our iniquity and sin. Own us, but possess us. And God said, as of right now, I'm making a covenant with you. In full sight of your people, I will work wonders that have never been created in all the earth, in any nation. Then, all the people with whom you're living will see how tremendous God's work is, the work I'll do for you. Take careful note of all I command you today. I'm clearing your way by driving out Amorites, Canaanites, Hittites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. Stay vigilant. Don't let down your guard, lest you make covenant with the people who live in the land that you are entering, and they trip you up. Tear down their altars, smash their phallic pillars, chop down their fertility poles. Don't worship any other god. God, his name is the Jealous One, is a jealous God. Be careful that you don't make a covenant with the people who live in the land and take up with their sex and religion life. Join them in meals at their altars, marry your sons to their women who take up with any convenient god or goddess and will get your sons to do the same thing. Don't make molten gods for yourselves. Keep the feast of unraised bread. Eat only unraised bread for 7 days in the month of Abib. It was in the month of Abib that you came out of Egypt. Every firstborn from the womb is mine. All the males of your herds, your firstborn oxen and sheep. Redeem your firstborn donkey with a lamb. If you don't redeem it, you must break its neck. Redeem each of your firstborn sons. No one is to show up in my presence empty-handed. Work 6 days and rest the 7th. Stop working even during plowing and harvesting. Keep the Feast of Weeks with the first cutting of the wheat harvest and the Feast of Ingathering at the turn of the year. All your men are to appear before the Master, the God of Israel, 3 times a year. You won't have to worry about your land when you appear before your God 3 times each year. For I will drive out the nations before you and give you plenty of land. Nobody's going to be hanging around plotting ways to get it from you. Don't mix the blood of my sacrifices with anything fermented. Don't leave leftovers from the Passover feast until morning. Bring the finest of the first fruits of your produce to the house of your God. Don't boil a kid in its mother's milk. God said to Moses, now write down these words, for by these words I've made a covenant with you and Israel. Moses was there with God 40 days and 40 nights. He didn't eat any food, he didn't drink any water. And he wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 words. When Moses came down from Mount Sinai, carrying the 2 tablets of the testimony, he didn't know that the skin of his face glowed because he had been speaking with God. Aaron and all the Israelites saw Moses, saw his radiant face, and held back, afraid to get close to him. Moses called out to them. Aaron and the leaders in the community came back, and Moses talked with them. Later, all the Israelites came up to him, and he passed on the commands, everything that God had told him on Mount Sinai. When Moses finished speaking with them, he put a veil over his face. But when he went into the presence of God to speak with him, he removed the veil until he came out. When he came out and told the Israelites what he had been commanded, they would see Moses' face, its skin glowing, and then he would again put the veil on his face until he went back in to speak with God. Chapter 35. Building the place of worship. Moses spoke to the entire congregation of Israel, saying, "These are the things that God has commanded you to do. Work 6 days, but the 7th day will be a holy rest day, God's holy rest day. Anyone who works on this day must be put to death. Don't light any fires in your homes on the Sabbath day." The offerings. Moses spoke to the entire congregation of Israel, saying, "This is what God has commanded. Gather from among you an offering for God. Receive on God's behalf what everyone is willing to give as an offering: gold, silver, bronze, blue, purple, and scarlet material, fine linen, goat's hair, tanned ram skins, dolphin skins, acacia wood, lamp oil, spices for anointing oils and for fragrant incense, onyx stones, and other stones for setting in the ephod and the breastpiece. Come, all of you who have skills, come and make everything that God has commanded. The dwelling with its tent and cover, its hooks, frames, crossbars, posts, and bases, the chest with its poles, the atonement cover and veiling curtain, the table with its poles and implements, and the bread of the presence, the lampstand for giving light with its furnishings, and lamps and the oil for lighting, the altar of incense with its poles, the anointing oil, the fragrant incense, the screen for the door at the entrance to the dwelling, the altar of whole burnt offering with its bronze grate and poles and all its implements, the wash basin with its base, the tapestry hangings for the courtyard with the posts and bases, the screen for the courtyard gate, the pegs for the dwelling, the pegs for the courtyard with their cords, the official vestments for ministering in the holy place, the sacred vestments for Aaron the priest, and for his sons serving as priests. So everyone in the community of Israel left the presence of Moses. Then they came back, everyone whose heart was roused, whose spirit was freely responsive, bringing offerings to God for building the tent of meeting, furnishing it for worship, and making the holy vestments. They came, both men and women, all the willing spirits among them, offering brooches, earrings, rings, necklaces, anything made of gold, offering up their gold jewelry to God. And anyone who had blue, purple, and scarlet fabrics, fine linen, goat's hair, tanned leather, and dolphin skins brought them. Everyone who wanted to offer up silver or bronze as a gift to God brought it. Everyone who had acacia wood that could be used in the work brought it. All the women skilled at weaving brought their weavings of blue and purple and scarlet fabrics and their fine linens. And all the women who were gifted in spinning spun the goat's hair. The leaders brought onyx and other precious stones for setting in the ephod and the breastpiece. They also brought spices and olive oil for lamp oil, anointing oil, and incense. Every man and woman in Israel whose heart moved them freely to bring something for the work that God through Moses had commanded them to make, brought it, a voluntary offering for God. B.I.B.L.E and Aholiab. Moses told the Israelites, "See, God has selected B.I.B.L.E, son of Uri, son of Hur of the tribe of Judah. He's filled him with the Spirit of God, with skill, ability, and know-how for making all sorts of things, to design and work in gold, silver, and bronze, to carve stones and set them, to carve wood, working in every kind of skilled craft. And he's also made him a teacher, he and Aholiab, son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan. He's gifted them with the know-how needed for carving, designing, weaving, and embroidering in blue, purple, and scarlet fabrics, and in fine linen. They can make anything and design anything."